Hi, and welcome to What to Expect from the Buying Process and the Power of Buyer Representation. I'm going to go right into it right now. There are basically two types of agency in real estate: buyer agency and seller agency. As your buyer's agent, my undivided loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure is with you to the exclusion of any seller. This is what makes you my client. My job is to provide all information that will assist my buyer in making home purchasing decisions. I'm always 100% honest. I will never sugarcoat anything. The difference between a customer and a client is that a client has representation and a customer does not. As your buyer's agent, I'm not only able to, I'm obligated to comment on the pricing of homes as compared to other homes we've seen. I am also obligated to point out any adverse facts or possible issues that would need to be pointed out to a home inspector. I will help you negotiate the best possible terms, advise on the current market, and share all of my research. And in the end, I will advise, but I will always follow my client's instructions. In order to represent a buyer, the National Association of Realtors requires buyer's agents to have a buyer agreement signed prior to touring any properties. This explains buyer agencies and what duty I owe you. As your exclusive agent, I know exactly what your needs and wants are. I know what you've already seen and what you haven't seen yet, and I keep track of all of it. I may come up with other ideas for you that you haven't considered, or information from an associate on a listing that hasn't yet gone on the market. Sometimes I get information on off-market properties, which I will only share with my clients. Here are other services that I provide for my buyers. Seller representation. The listing agent was hired by the seller. They signed a contract which contains the price of the property, when the property will go on the market, and the other details we see in listings. This contractual agreement obligates the listing agent to represent the seller by appropriating pricing terms in the seller's best interests. If there's no buyer's agent involved, the buyer won't be represented. An experienced listing agent knows what terms in a contract will benefit their client, which is why it's important to have your own agent to negotiate on your behalf. Here's just a bunch of stuff about me and my experience in real estate and my family's experience in real estate. Let's talk about fair housing. Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 says, agents, mortgage brokers, loan officers in a real estate transaction may not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, gender identity, disability, familial status, or national origin. So we cannot follow instructions from a home seller or landlord that says, oh, none of the above. So we are prohibited by law to answer questions regarding demographics because it could be construed as steering, which is illegal. You have a team when you work with me. This team is you, me, your lender if there's a mortgage, and our title company. Together, we will make sure that this transaction is extremely smooth and no surprises pop up. Working as your buyer agent, I have access to all homes in MLS and new construction homes because builders have their own listing agents, representatives. Some people like to try selling their own homes, but the problem is they don't have the strategy or the reach like we do. Preparation is imperative when you're going to buy a house. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. The mortgage broker will just need to verify your employment, income, and your last 2 tax returns, and they'll check your credit score. That'll let you know about how much your payments will be at different price points. As I mentioned later, a seller won't take offers seriously without seeing that a buyer can pay for the property. If you're a cash buyer, you're going to need to have a letter ready from your bank that states you have the funds in your account. As with any other kind of transaction, time is of the essence. You may be asked for information by your lender or title company. It's in your best interest for the transaction to go smoothly if you provide this information as quickly as possible so it doesn't interrupt the flow of the transaction. While negotiating, the seller may take time to respond. We can't allow a seller to take precedence or set the precedence of our transactions, so we should respond as quickly and as comfortably as possible. If I don't already know your needs and wants, I'll be setting up your customer search today. What I set up will reflect everything you desire unless the features don't exist in your price range and area. Only then will we need to compromise. If you decide to change your price range, your area, or any other aspect of your search, please tell me so I can adjust your custom search. We will view the listings in Realtrax. This is the source of the information and provides detailed information for you. It's more in real time and more up to date than Zillow, Realtor.com, or any other public site. You may be asking yourself how I get paid. Well, buyer side compensation has normally been paid by the seller. The NAR settlement in 2024 resulted in the requirement that the buyer and seller sides are to be separate and that offers of compensation are not allowed to be posted in the MLS. This doesn't mean that sellers aren't offering buyer agency compensation. It just means that we don't know how much a seller is offering in buyer agency commission. From what I see, sellers are still offering to pay buyer agency because they know that 89% of buyers work with buyer's agents. Once you're interested enough to write an offer, I can ask the listing agent how much they're offering so I can tell you if my compensation is covered. And if it isn't, if the seller hasn't offered to pay buyer agency commission, we can still negotiate it into the offer that the seller pay. We work on commission only and don't get paid until after a transaction closes. I receive no monetary compensation of any kind for my time, expertise, or vehicle or other expenses until then. It's extremely important to me that my clients are happy. My goal is to earn a 5-star rating and make you happy to recommend me to friends and family. So stick with me, and if you have a question or concern, please express it. Communication is key. I can't fulfill your needs if I don't know what they are. Together, we will achieve your goals. If you're ready to move forward with me today, we'll set up a search that matches your criteria right now. The results will include the address and information about the properties. I'll keep the search going in real time and you'll automatically be updated on new listings. If you're not ready right now, you'll get an idea of what we'll see when you are ready to view homes in person. There may be completely different properties on the market at that time, but if you're in town, driving by the homes may help you map your route and time from work and help you to decide what neighborhoods you prefer by looking at surrounding properties in the neighborhood. Once you're ready, we'll go see homes. Sometimes you may see a home you like online that's outside of the search. If that happens, please alert me right away. If you see something I didn't send you, tell me what item was negotiable and I'll make the change to your search. So once you pick your favorites, we'll view them. If you find a home you like, don't wait. If you love it, chances are that someone else may too. Each home has a different story. I'll find out why the sellers are selling and ask as many questions as possible to help us to put together an offer that you feel comfortable with. I will advise, but the decisions are yours to make. Here are some tips I give on making offers. If a home is on the market for longer than others that compare to it, it may be priced too high. In that case, we may be able to negotiate with the seller. Sometimes buyers assume that there could be something wrong with the home and don't want to lowball the seller, but it could be just that the market has recently changed. So if a property is on the market for significantly longer than others, it may have had a contract fall through. At that point, a seller may be ready to negotiate on price. Maybe they just reduced the price, so they may want to see if they'll get the new price before negotiating. We don't know unless we make an offer. Any other offers that are pending by other buyers will also factor into this decision. The longer the home has been listed at its current price, the more the seller may be willing to negotiate. A new listing isn't going to negotiate much from their list price because they want to try it. The first week is the strongest the market will ever be for them, and if it's a great listing and it's priced correctly, we may have to compete with offers from other buyers. If there's another offer and this is a home you love, you'll be advised to give your highest and best offer. Financing. Listing agents prefer local mortgage companies over out-of-state banks or mortgage companies because it's a safer bet that the loan will go through. They feel more confident that the transaction will work out if they have heard of the lender and if the lender has local underwriting. When you make an offer, you'll need to submit trust money. This can now be sent digitally to the holder, which is usually a title company. There are no standard percentages, but the more you put down, the more the seller will consider that you're a serious buyer that can buy their property. It will be deposited in a non-interest earning escrow account. You'll need to also submit a pre-approval letter or a bank letter if you're paying in cash. Submitting a professional letter so the seller is convinced that you can purchase the home will alleviate concerns about you being able to purchase the home, and the seller can focus on your offer. When you submit an offer, it'll also state the type of mortgage that you have. It's important to the seller because they're concerned that maybe the mortgage type, like FHA or VA, will require for them to make repairs. That's not always true, but it's maybe what they heard. Another thing is a home inspection. I highly advise it, especially on a single-family home. It'll cost about $500 depending on the size of the home. This way you'll know if there's anything seriously wrong with the house, and you'll also have a contingency in your contract that gives you the loophole if you need to void the contract because there's something that's a deal breaker for you. Inspectors do report everything they find, even the type of HVAC or heating you have, and explain how to use it sometimes. But if there's something wrong that the seller won't repair, you have the option to make the repair yourself or void the contract and have your earnest money returned to you. Making offers. What else would you like to remain with the property? There are things that are listed in an MLS, but is there something on the property that you'd like for the seller to leave you? Is there a washer and dryer? Or is the refrigerator not included in the listing? You know, it doesn't hurt to ask. I think everything's negotiable in length. Once we're ready with the offer, I'll notify the seller's agent or the listing agent that we are bringing an offer. I'll present it to them and they'll discuss it with the seller. At that point, they have three options. They might accept the offer exactly the way it was written and sign it. That's when you'll have a contract. They could decline the offer, or they can counteroffer the offer. Any part of the offer, like price, closing date, items included. If the seller counteroffers your offer, then they have selected to work with your offer, and in fact, if there's another offer over another buyer's. But then you'll have the same options the seller had, 1, 2, or 3. We have a contract! So what's next? I'll submit the contract to your lender and the title company. You'll make an appointment for your home inspection for as soon as possible so we can release your inspection contingency and move forward. The mortgage company will order your appraisal and get to work on your loan, and if you're paying in cash, you may not feel the need to get an appraisal. I'll take care of all the details, get it to the closing agent and title company. If I have any questions for you, or need anything further from you, or have any news for you, I'll contact you immediately. But I will always be available whenever you have a question or need me for anything. Now what? Pack your stuff, take care of your personal business, set up your homeowner's insurance, your utilities about a week prior to closing, and I'll give you all the contact information to make it as easy as possible for you. Before we close, we're going to do a final walkthrough to make sure that everything that was to be repaired by the seller has been repaired and that everything that is supposed to be there is still there. I'll be with you at the closing as well, and I'll always be there for you. Once we've satisfied all contingencies such as the inspection and the appraisal, we can set up the date and time for closing. Yay! And congratulations, you're on your way to becoming a homeowner. And I will be there for you anytime in the future, I promise.